globe light. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dr. Sat Shri Sriman His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. From Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Ādi-līlā, chapter 2, the last few verses from 118 till the end, which is 121. I have a question before I start. What Mangala Charan should we chant? Should we just do the 14 shlokas of the beginning of Ādi-līlā instead of the regular Mangala Charan?
Do the first 22. I've seen that.
Well, technically the first 14 is the Mangala Charan that Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote. Someone want to pull it up if you're driving right now. Or maybe would it be easier if I just put it in my laptop on there?
Sure. Actually, yes.
I think it would. Let me find it first. Or you can just, yeah, we should all do it together because it's a lot. Screen mirroring. I should be in Radha Govinda Resonance. That's a strange Wi-Fi network to have the TV on, but okay.
I want everyone to connect to it.
It says Lotus A TV and Samsung 6. Or maybe someone could share it from their phone. It's because it's not coming up. I'm getting Lotus Room. Okay, well, we're going to spend another 30 seconds, and if we can't figure this out, I'm just going to say it, and you guys can follow on your phones or repeat.
Yes, sir.
Did I? You getting it? Or you're driving there?
I'm trying on my phone and I'm trying close. I'm just trying.
Okay, it looks like we're just going to do it on this. That's fine.
Let me put it in advanced mode.
Can everyone see the TV? From my angle, it looks very dark.
One side of the screen
Man, these expensive TVs, have them for a year and they mess up. Same thing happened to the Lotus Room TV. Maybe Krishna can buy us another one, but he doesn't want to because we just waste it. Vande Gurun Ishan Bhaktan Isham Ishavatarakan Tat Prakam Shams Tachach Chakti Krishnas Chaitanya Samjakam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Śrī Krishna Caitanya. Vande Śrī Krishna Caitanya Nityanando Sahodito Godadaye Pushpanvanto Chitroshando Tamo Nudo. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Śrī Krishna Caitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Goda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. And this verse is especially number 3. This is what the whole chapter 2 is actually about. Okay, someone help me. What are we? Is this Brahma Samhita?
No.
6 Goswamis? Okay, Hadai will just chant it. Keep going. Who wants to read the translation? Okay.
What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord, known as the Supersoul, is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth. No other truth is greater than or equal to truth.
Okay. Anarpita chirim charat kununavatirna kalo samarpayitum munojvala rasam swabhakti shriyam haripurata sundara dyuti kandama sandipata sada hridaya kandare spurato sachinandana. Nick, you want to read this one?
May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachidari, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, this most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love.
Radha Krishna Pranaya Virtir Hladani Shakti Rasmad Ikat Manavapi Bhuvipura Deha Bedam Gatoto Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Aduna Tadvayam Chaitanyaptam Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. Prabhu Vishnu, you want to get this one?
The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Śrī Krishna Caitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself.
Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yinadbhuta Madhurima Kshido Madhya Sokyam Chasyam Anubhavata Kidsham Veti Lobat Tadbhavatya Samajani Shachi Garva Sindho Harinduhu. Ryan?
Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him which she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean.
Sankarshana Karana Toya Shai Garbhado Shai Chapayo Vishai Sheshascha Yashmamsha Kalasa Nitya Nandakya Rama Sharanam Mamastu. Okay, I'll just read the rest. These are shorter. May Śrī Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshnag, and the Vishnus who lie in the Karna ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and portions of plenary portions. Mayatite Vyapti Vaikuntha Loke Punarnishvaya Śrī Caitanya Madhye Rupam Yasyodpati Sankarshanakyam Tad Śrī Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Śrī Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshana in the midst of the Chatur Vyuha, consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulence and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. Maya Bharta Janda Sankarshanyangaha Shete Sakshat Karam Bodhi Madhye Yasyaikam Sha Shipumam Adi Devas Tam Śrī Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I offer my full obeisance under the feet of Śrī Nityananda Ram, whose partial representation called Karno-dakshayi Vishnu, lying on the Karna ocean, is the original Purusha, the master of the illusory energy and the shelter of all universes. Shila Garbhado Shayi Nabhyabjam Lokasangata Nalam Loka Shastu Sutika Damam Datus Tam Śrī Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Śrī Nityananda Ram, a partial part of who is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu sprouts a lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets. Yes, yam sham sham shaya parakilanam poshta vishnur bhati dugda bishayi shorni bharta yat kalasopyanatas tam Śrī Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I offer my respectful obeisances under the feet of Śrī Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in ocean of milk. The Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is the supersoul of all living entities and the maintainer of all universes. Sheshnag is his further subpart. Mahavishnur Jagat Karta Mayayaya Shujatyadaha Tasyaivatara Vayajam Avita Acharya Ishvara. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Advaitam Harinad Vaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Misham Tam Advaita Charyam Ashare. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita, and because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. Panchatatvakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktyakam Namaman Bhakti Shaktikam. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is non-different from his features as devotee, devotional incarnation, devotional manifestation, pure devotee, and devotional energy. And now, we're going to the verses. Okay, wow, it's there, right? Chaitanya Mahima Jani E Shabha Siddhante. Chaitanya Mahima Jani E Shabha Chittadrida Hoy Lage Mahima Gyana Hoite. By such conclusive studies, I know the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Only by knowing these glories can one become strong and fixed in attachment to him. Purport. One can know the glories of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu only by reaching, in knowledge, decision about Śrī Krishna, strengthened by bona fide study of the conclusion of the Acharyas. Chaitanya Prabhur Mahima Kahi Bhara Tare Krishnera Mahima Kahi Kariya Vistare. just to enunciate the glories of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, I've tried to describe the glories of Śrī Krishna in detail. Chaitanya go sanira etatva nirupana Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Vrajendra Nandana. The conclusion is that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of the King of Vraj. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha, Caitanya-caritāmṛta kahe Krishna dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta Ādi-līlā, 2nd chapter, describing Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sinubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Okay, I want to hear more enthusiasm and transcendental potency of the Maha Mantra, because I'm trying to get out of ignorance here. Thank you. I need it. Mukam Kroti Vachalam Pangum Mungayati Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay. By such conclusive studies, I know the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Only by knowing these glories can one become strong and fixed in attachment to them. One can know the glories of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu only by reaching, in knowledge, a conclusive decision about Śrī Krishna, strengthened by bona fide study of the conclusion of the Acharyas. Before saying anything, I'd like to pray to all the devotees. Please give me your blessings to be able to say something beneficial. I'd said that we should hear Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, hear from the Bhagavatam or from the person Bhagavatam. So we've been hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the book, and now we get to hear from the person Bhagavatam, Krishnadas Kaviraj, and what he has to say. And so especially my seniors like Param Brahma Prabhu and Sitaram Prabhu, and of course all the devotees. Please lift your right hand and say, may you speak well.
All of us?
Why not? Thank you. Aye. Hare Krishna. So, it's the end of the 2nd chapter, and the way that the Caitanya-caritāmṛta works is that 14 shlokas in the beginning, which we just chanted, and those are like the main things that Krishnadas Kaviraj wants to talk about and prove, as well as just talk about the life of Lord Chaitanya. So it's a biography, but it's also a philosophical work. So he wants to prove philosophically these conclusions, and then have you hear about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So the beginning of the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, especially in Ādi-līlā, is a lot of philosophy proving these 14 shlokas. And each chapter will kind of be centered on one of these shlokas or more. And so this is only the second chapter, and it's basically making the point of that third verse. Krishnadas Kaviraj says multiple times, in the third verse, I indicate the absolute truth, who is the ultimate substance. With such a description, one can visualize the supreme truth. And again, he says, let me describe the meaning of the third verse. It's an auspicious vibration that describes the absolute truth. So who remembers the third verse of the Mangalacharan? Oh, no way. Wow. Wow. Give some kudos to Hidayat. That was very nice. That was impressive. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as a supersoul is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. So the whole third chapter, which we've been going through the past months and months, because we're doing it once per week, twice per week, has been establishing this point from various points of view. And so he mentions, right after he mentions this verse, he's saying the important point that in grammar, especially in Sanskrit grammar, the predicate is always established after the subject. So if you guys don't know what those words mean, especially who have English as a second language, even me, I'm not very good at English, but I kind of remember this. The subject of a sentence is, it's the subject, it's what the sentence is about. And then more or less everything else can be considered the predicate, or what are you saying about the subject. So I could say Ryan, the subject, is a good book distributor. And then that's a predicate. So there's Ryan, and then something that someone may not know about him, the predicate. And in this shloka, there's basically three subjects and 3 predicates. It's basically the impersonal Brahman. That's the subject is what? It's just the effulgence of Lord Chaitanya's body. The super soul is just his portion, and Bhagavan, this Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna directly himself, full in 6 opulences. And this rule with predicate following a subject will be important later, which I can't remember who gave that class, but on Ete Chamsa Kalu Pumsa, that's a big part of this chapter, is establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead over Narayan. But we'll get there. So first thing that Krishnadas Kaviraj establishes is that Bhagavan is superior to Brahman and Paramatma. And one shloka from the Bhagavatam, which any of the shloka wallas, but not Hidayat, because he already showed that he's superior. Do you know the shloka starting with Vedanti tat tadva vidas? Shabdite, yeah, exactly. So Vedanti tat tadva vidas, those who are learned know the tattva, the truth, absolute truth, in different ways. They know it as Brahman, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, and Bhagavan. And so what these different things are, Brahman, Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Koshi Shvashesha Vasudari Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Ananta Ashesha Bhutam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Tad Brahma is Nishkalam Ananta Ashesha Bhutam, the non-differentiated, indivisible, infinite, limitless truth. And well, what is that? It's similarly Yat Prapada Simni Avichinta Tattve. It's just the effulgence coming from the toes of the Lord. So the Brahman is this all-pervading truth that exists throughout all creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and which all the living beings and everything in the material universe and spiritual universes is resting on. But that's simply just the effulgence coming from the Lord. That's what Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying, and I'm substantiating it with quotes from Lord Brahma himself in the Brahma Samhita. And then Paramatma, Paramatma, the one shloka about the, who knows a shloka for the Paramatma? Let's see. Ask this way, maybe people will be more engaged. Anybody? Okay, I'll give you a hit. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, Sarvasyaham, Sarvasyaham Hridi Sanivishto, Mata Smitir Gyanam Apohanam Cha. Yeah, that's like, you know, the rest is, just the first one is, he's in the heart of everyone. So that's Paramatma. And then, how about, here's a shloka that describes Paramatma, and I'll start it and just see if anyone can end it. Upadrasta Anumanta Cha Bharta. Yeah, come on, Sitaram, slam us with it. Bharta Bhokta Maheshvaraha Paramatmeti Chapyukto Dehismin Purusha Paraha. 13th chapter, there's only a few shlokas in there, isn't there? That means that the Paramatma is the Upadrasta Anumanta Cha. He's the overseer. He means that he's like, he can perceive everything. The real omniscient person. And he's the permitter. Krishna also said, or we hear in the, commonly Prabhupada tells us in purports about Vedic writings, and I can't remember what Purana this is from, but there's the whole parable of the bird sitting on the branch and watching the other bird eat. So the Paramatma is like that. We want to enjoy, but he doesn't really want to enjoy, but he's sitting there permitting us to enjoy based on our karma, because all the living entities need some arrangement for their enjoyment in this material world. And so that's who Krishna's expansion is. And Krishna even says to himself, Vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ekam sena stito jagat. That with one fragment of myself, I pervade the entire universe. That's like in the end of the 10th chapter. So we've got Brahman, who is like this, you know, the transcendental substrate of everything, but that's just coming from Krishna's toenail. We've got Paramatma, which is sustaining all living entities and permitting their enjoyment and giving them company. And that's just a fragment of Krishna, he says. And then we've got Bhagavan. And I was reading the nice study guide from the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, really wonderful. Bhagavan. So Ba means the sustainer and protector. Ga means the leader, the pusher, or the creator. And Van means dwelling. Because like Krishna says in the 9th chapter, everyone is in Krishna, and as a super soul, he's within everyone. So that's one way to see Bhagavan. And then there's also Bhaga, which means opulence, and Van, which means full of. So Bhagavan is also the one who, this is how Parashara Muni decides to define Bhagavan, or one way, that he's the one who is completely full in 6 opulences. So now, for all the people who haven't got initiation, tell me one of the 6 opulences. Go. You got the easiest one. Okay, Connor got wealth. Nick? Renunciation. Wait, I said non-initiated devotees. Beauty. Strength. Oh, you got the hard one. There's only 2 left. Keep trying. That was said. Okay, you got help from the peanut gallery, and we got one left. What are we missing? I can't. No, we said strength. They said renunciation. We said beauty, fame, strength, renunciation. But he's not dumb, is he? Yeah, he's really smart. So we've got Bhagavan, one who's full in 6 opulences, and that's Lord Chaitanya. And one way, I'll give 2 simple ways. The Shastra gives so many examples. Even the Caitanya-caritāmṛta gives examples. But I've heard nice ones. So one is like a train coming. You've all been in the subway, and so this is a very poignant like apropos example for the New York Vasis. You go on the subway and you look and you hear the train coming, and then you see the light, and it's just a light. That's all you see. It's like way down the track. So that's like Brahman. It's still the same. It's the same train, but that's all you're perceiving of it. So these sages that sit and do all these breathing exercises and do all these things and purify their attachments and become like perfect sages. They just basically get that light of the train. That's what they can perceive. So it's like the beginning of perceiving Krishna, but it's like the Brahma says, it's just like the effulgence coming from his toenail. It's not even his toenail. It's like the reflection off his toenail. So at least you're getting something. And like in Isupanishad, it's famously saying, "Oh Lord, please remove your effulgence so I can see you." So we want to see them. So then what is the next thing? You might hear like a like the trains don't often honk their horns too much here in New York. But if you go onto like an Amtrak train or some other bigger train, or especially trains in India, you might hear their horn honk from a long way away. And you might start to see some sort of form of the train coming, and that's the example of like Paramatma. And then finally when the train comes, you can actually go inside the train and fully experience what is the train. So that's like realization of Bhagavan, or what Krishna Das Kaviraj wants to give us, what Prabhupada wants to give us, what Sutadev Goswami wants to give us, what Shukadev Goswami wants to give us, which is full experience of Bhagavan. And then another nice example is like if you're traveling and there's some famous mountain, from like miles away you can see the mountain, but it's just like hazy. Maybe you see the clouds around the top and like you can not really see any details, so that's like Brahman. Then you kind of get closer and you see there's like a forest, all tons of trees on the mountain, but you just see all the forest, you don't see the individual trees. That's kind of like Paramama. And then you go in and you fully experience the forest, and that's like Brahman. And so Krishna is Bhagavan and Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. He's not an expansion, but he's the same. That's the point that Krishna Das Kaviraj wants to make. And now he gets the amazing, probably the most important part of this chapter. Once you're probably halfway through it, or like 60, 70, around that, out of this 121 verses, Krishna is actually, he starts to make the point that Krishna is actually superior to Narayan. And he proves this in a couple ways. First is that he, in the 10th canto, there's the famous Brahma Vimohan Līlā, which who wants to summarize the Brahma Vimohan Līlā? What about Bailey? You remember the Brahma Vimohan Līlā? Do you know what that means? Have you read Krishna book?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happens between Brahma and Krishna? That's right. Brahma Vimohan means bewilderment of Lord Brahma. So he takes but what happens? He takes the cowherd boys and cows. How does he get bewildered?
Krishna pretends to be the cowherd boys.
Yeah, Krishna is the best at playing dress up. So he imitates all of them, and because he's the source of them and knows everything about them, he can perfectly do it. And so Lord Brahma comes back a year later and just sees, because he realizes, oh man, I think I did the wrong thing. And he checks, and it's like kind of confirmed that Krishna's potency is stronger than his mystic potency. So he gets bewildered. And then he comes to pay obeisances, ask forgiveness. And one of the first things he says, are you not the original Narayan, the supreme controller? You're the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms? Indeed, Narayan is your expansion, and he's called Narayan because he's the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. Well, basically, Krishna Das Kaviraj wants to center on the fact Lord Narayan is the expansion of Krishna, and Krishna is the original Narayan. And so Brahma said this to Krishna, and he said, because, I was born from your navel, and children, any offense they commit to the parents is never taken too seriously. Please, don't take my offense too seriously. What? Oh my gosh. In the assembly of the Bhagavatam, it was Sutta Goswami, they wouldn't even blink their eyes, and they would hardly breathe, and it was like, there was no disturbances whatsoever to the speaking. Not even, like, if you even distract your attention for a second, like, it causes like a subtle disturbance. But in that setting, it was like so perfect, just for the whole time, they were just completely captivated on Sutta Goswami. And in that way, that's kind of like, we were hearing a while ago, maybe a week ago, how the audience actually empowers the speaker with their intention and intention. Yeah. So please try to refrain from getting up if possible. I understand it's, we have to go to the bathroom and everything, but it's a fact. So Krishna responds, he's like, what do you mean? Your father's Narayan, but I'm just some cowherd boy. Krishna's like gaslighting Lord Brahma a little bit. It's kind of funny. Like, I'm just a cowherd boy. What are you talking about? And then Lord Brahma proceeds to prove. He's like, well, you're the source of all entities. You maintain all the maintainers. Prabhupada says, the controlling deities of the living beings in the mundane world are the three Purusha avatars, like Karna-dakshai Vishnu, or Mahavishnu is sometimes called, and then Garbha-dakshai Vishnu, and then Kir-dakshai Vishnu. And they're all maintaining different levels of the universe. But then Prabhupada says, but the potent energy displayed by Sri Krishna is far more extensive than that of the Purushas. Sri Krishna is therefore the original Father and Lord who protects all creative manifestations through his various plenary portions. Since he sustains even the shelters of the collective living beings, there is no doubt that Sri Krishna is the original Narayan. So Krishna is the sustainer of the sustainers, or the maintainer of the maintainers. Does anyone know how this is? Have an idea? How Krishna sustains, because Prabhupada says, since he sustains even the shelters of the collective living beings, there is no doubt that Sri Krishna is the original Narayan.
Because the three Purusha avatars are expansions of Krishna.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Also, in the Brahma Vimohan Lila, you have Krishna, and he expands as Balaram, and Balaram expands as the first Chaturvyuha, and then the first Chaturvyuha expands as like Mahanarayan, and Mahanarayan expands the second Chaturvyuha in the material world, and so on and so forth. And that Sankarshan expands into the triple Purushas. And so Krishna also, how does Krishna sustain his devotees, which his expansions are also his devotees, and this is also revealed in Brahma Vimohan Lila. We had a painting of it, or there's a painting of it? No, we don't. There's a painting of it exists within ISKCON art. Actually, it's at the Bhakti Center. That's where it is. If you go there, you can find it. Where at the end of Brahma Vimohan Lila, or at least like Lord Brahma's, he went to go see Krishna, and then he was wondering, wait, but you asked me which Brahma I am? What do you mean by that? And then like, so many Lord Brahmas came and left, and he just got completely bewildered. And it's revealed in there that the cowherd boys that Krishna was dressing up as Bailey put so cutely, that actually it was his expansions as Mahavishnu and all these other expansions that wanted to do seva for Krishna. So they wanted his association. So that's how they were maintained. Like they got to do that, and that made them blissful. So they're like, okay, now I'm going to go do my material world service. And so, so Krishna continues to argue after Lord Brahma is trying to establish that Krishna is Narayan. He's like, what are you saying? Narayan's the super soul, and he's laying down. He's the one causing everything. Like, it's not me. And then, but Lord Brahma says that he's just a plenary portion of Krishna. And if we're talking about Krishna and compared to the Purusha avatars, all the Purusha avatars, this is what Krishnadas Kaviraj starts to argue. He says all the Purusha avatars have some relation with Maya. They're all in Maya a little bit. They're all transcendental, but they have some connection with Maya due to the nature of their service. They have to maintain the material world. And so we hear in the Brahma Samhita, Shristi Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktireka Chayeva Yasiv Bhuvanani Bibarti Durga Ichana Rupam Apiyasya Chacheshtate Sa Govindam Maripurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that the sadhana of Durga is Shristi Stiti Pralaya. Because the material world is her, she's also having creation happen, maintenance happen, and destruction happen, kind of in tandem with these Purusha avatars. So, but Krishna, he's always in the Turiya, or the fourth dimension. I remember Jaini Jani Tai came here and gave a nice class on this when we were going through this section. And so Krishna is completely transcendental. He has no connection with the material energy like that. And then Lord Brahma continues to argue to Krishna, the Purushas come, like we were just saying, this whole hierarchy of Purushas. The Purushas come from the original Narayan, and that Narayan is Krishna's expansion. So therefore, Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahman are all Krishna. And then someone may be following our arguments up to this point, and Krishnadas Kairaj is like furthering it. And they may think, well, you're saying Krishna is the original Narayan, but that doesn't make any sense. Narayan has 4 hands. That's extraordinary. Who have you seen with 4 hands? No one. And Krishna just has 2 hands. Everyone has 2 hands. That's normal. Like, how is he God? What are you talking about? And then what shloka might you say to show that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and everyone else is just his portion? Yeah, that's a good one. From everything comes from Krishna. But you could say, oh, he's just speaking as an expansion of Narayan. But what's a conclusive thing to say it's not Narayan and it is Krishna? And that would be, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Like the Mayavadis, they have these things called Mahavakyas, which they try to take a Shastra and they say that this is the Mahavakya of the Shastra, and then they try to explain things differently like that. And so they take the Vedanta Sutra, and they say the Vedanta Sutra has a few Mahavakyas, and then they use those and misinterpret those and present their whole philosophy. And they kind of pivot on this idea of Mahavakya, or like the real main thesis statement, which the argument of our acharyas against that is like, actually, in any Shastra, all of the verses are important. You can't just take one verse and then out of context misinterpret it against the whole context. And so that way they crush the Mayavadis. But in this context, this is considered the thesis statement of the Bhagavatam. Like, in one sense, it is the most important shloka, but you can see the whole Bhagavatam is just talking about this shloka. Ete chamsa kala pumsha ete. Well, so what's happening? What chapter are we in? Do you remember? We're first canto, 3rd chapter. And what is the? I don't remember what it's called, but what is it generally about?
Oh, the 3rd chapter?
Yeah. It's all the incarnations. So let's see if we can do our Bhakti Shakti. Anyone remembers the 6 kind of incarnations? No initiated devotees can speak. One kind of incarnation. Līlā incarnation. Guna incarnation. Purusha incarnation. Wow, amazing. Okay, Vasily. We got Guna, Līlā, Purusha. Well, what was Prabhupada considered? Shakti, yes, the Shakti of Vaish, empowered incarnation. And with Connor, I couldn't hear you said something. Iya. Kriya. Kriya, I don't know what that is. The Kriya incarnation. Manvantara. And we got one. Okay, now the initiates may speak. There's one more. Gopal Pran, Mr. PhD. Pune. We got Līlā already. We got Purusha, Guna. Someone might have to look on their phone and see, everyone. Parbrahma is now the Vidvamsa, the person in here, the knowledgeable person. Okay, so all the avatars are being talked about in the 3rd chapter, and this is near the end. Or after he's listed all these different avatars, he's saying, "Ete, all these." And I'm pretty sure before this he's saying, actually, I've described some, but there's unlimited. There's so many different avatars and incarnations. Ete chamsa, all of these, they're just amsa kala, or parts of the parts. Kala means like part of the part, and amsa means like a limb or a part. But Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. He's the Swayam original Bhagavan. And so this is the emperor's statement of the Bhagavatam, or this is basically the point that Sukadev Goswami wants to make. Shukadev or Sukadev? Shuka, right? Parrot Shuka. not suka, shuka. Yeah, we don't want dry. We want wet mango eaten by the parrot. So Krishna is the avatari, and everyone else, including Narayan, including the different Kshirodakshai Vishnu and all the other Vamana Dev and everything else, are his different chamsa kala, his portions or portions of portions. So someone then, okay, so the person hearing you that just told you this dumb argument about 4 arms versus 2 arms, and you gave him the shloka and like whacked him on the head with it, and then he said, well, actually, Sudadev Goswami is just saying that Narayan is the avatari, and Krishna is just one of his amsas. That's what you're just interpreting the Sanskrit wrong. That's what it means. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj says, oh, okay, well then you know about the rule, which he stated previously, which we already went through, that the predicate is always mentioned. Is the predicate mentioned before or after the subject? After, because you can't, like, is a book distributor Ryan? That's a question now. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, what? You know, Ryan is a book distributor. Now everyone knows. Like, he distributes Prabhupada's books. Or, you know, or Nick is a banker. Now Nick works at a bank, so he's a banker.
He's a bank, Nick.
Is a bank Nick? Bank is Nick. That doesn't make any sense. So, so he's saying a predicate must always a subject must always precede the predicate. And if we look at this statement, ete chamsa kalopamsa, ete is the subject, which ete means all of these, which is referring to all the other incarnations. And what are they? Chamsa kala pumsa, they're portions. And then Krishna, this is the thing that we didn't know about Krishna. We were thinking, oh, Krishna is also just a portion of a portion. He's just some expansion of the Bhagavan. But Krishna is now the subject, and the predicate is Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. And so Krishnadas Kaviraj makes the point. If Sudadev Goswami wanted to establish Narayan as this Bhagavan Swayam like you're trying to do, then he would have said Bhagavan Swayam to Krishnas. He would have put Bhagavan Swayam as the subject and the predicate, which is the thing that you don't know, as Krishna. Like if you switch those, in other words, if you switch those, then it becomes all of these amsas are all the amsas of Bhagavan Swayam, and Krishna is too, basically. And that's what the guy's trying to say, but Krishnadas Kaviraj is refuting that these are not all expansions of Narayan, they're all expansions of Krishna. So then he kind of slams them. He said the Vedic authorities are beyond the 4 defects. So you have to understand. And what are the 4 defects? Imperfect senses.
Mistakes.
Come on, man. Do you understand anything? Imperfect senses.
Propensity to cheat. He said.
Okay, one more. Bailey. The 4 defects. You got this. Say it louder. What's illusion? What's illusion? So how does that? What does that have to do with the 4 defects?
Because we think this is reality, when it's not like the absolute reality.
Yeah, you like pramada. Like you can't perceive, you're not even perceiving the right thing, so how can you communicate about it? But the Vedic authorities, they're perceiving the right thing in their samadhi, like Vyasadeva is perceiving like reality in samadhi. So he's beyond his senses, so he doesn't have to worry about imperfect senses because it's being perceived from the platform of the soul. So he's not an illusion. No reason to cheat. He just wants to actually help and benefit everybody. And what are the 4? Commit mistakes. Yeah, his speaking is perfect, and I guess the proof is in the pudding. You eat the pudding and you realize it was a good recipe. And so Krishna is actually the original candle. Deeparchareva hi dashama bhupetya Dipayate Vrita Hetu Samana Dharma Yastadrigeva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So it says that all these different expansions are like candles lit by other candles, but Krishna is the first candle, and all the other ones, they have the, Vivrita Hetu Samana Dharma, they have a similar nature, but they're all originally lit by Govinda, the Adi Purusha, the original person. So then the last argument to slam this home that Krishnadas Kaviraj gives is like, and if you don't believe me, then also the Bhagavatam, which has 10 subject matters, the ultimate being the Samam Bodham, the Maha Ashraya, the shelter of everything, the supreme shelter, is talking about not Narayan, but Krishna. The 10th canto is talking about that Samam Bodham, and the 10th canto is talking about Krishna. And if the proof of reading the 10th canto wasn't enough, that it's all about Krishna, you might try to like twist out something. That even Sridhar Swami, the official commentator on the Bhagavatam, says that, obviously enough, that the 10th canto reveals Krishna as the supreme shelter. Anyone who read Krishna book, even Bhakti Bailey read Krishna book, he knows it's about Krishna, right? It's not called Narayan book. And that's what he's saying. It's kind of a funny argument, but that's that if you look at the Shastra and what the sages are actually saying, like Sudhagay Goswami, if you're trying to say that he's saying Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this whole Bhagavatam, and then you go to the 10th canto, and that's like the conclusion, like everything's leading up into the 10th canto, then he's talking about Krishna the whole time. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, exactly. And so, anyways, also you can have Rasik understanding of like, in the morning we say, sometimes when we're paying obeisance to Tulsi, Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi, that gives Bhakti to Vishnu, but there's some like Rasik commentary that Vishnu can also mean Krishna. Some devotees say Krishna Bhakti, and I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur said either way, and there's letter where Prabhupada even wrote Krishna Bhakti, and I don't know, this like controversy, not really controversy, but sometimes people argue about, Vrindaya, Tulsi Devi, Priya, Keshavasicha, is it Vishnu or Krishna Bhakti? And so anyways, but it's obvious that the 10th canto is about Krishna. So then, he gets to the end and he says, you speak about Krishna's expansions and Shaktis, and shows how Krishna is really the creator and controller of everything directly and indirectly. And then he says Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, and to call him other things like Garbhodakshai Vishnu or Vamana or the different Purushas or Narayan, that doesn't increase his glories, but it's also not wrong, it's okay. And that a sincere student shouldn't neglect these different arguments. Like if someone's trying to argue on Shastra, you should try to like argue with them, and that'll give you more faith, then your mind can be attached to Krishna. And the whole point of this, he says, is that you can be fixed to Lord Chaitanya, fix an attachment to him. Like Krishna says, Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yoveti tatvata sovakalpena yogena yujayate nantar samshaya. One who is factually convinced of Krishna's opulence engages in yogena, unalloyed devotional service. So there's no time for questions because everything was perfectly presented, and if you have any questions, you weren't listening properly, you can watch the recording. Om Tat Sat. Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, assembled devotees ki.